Okay, well, we just won't be able to take up a vote on anything, but I think we can go ahead and start handling business. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Well, that means we cannot approve our agenda.
Go with what we've got.
um, so this agenda, for the record, is not approved, but will be a reference guide for us today. And then also we won't be approving any minutes. How about we pivot a little bit, and instead of talking about the community engagement survey, which likely will require us to make some votes and some decisions about moving forward, how about we hear from Mim, sorry to put you on the spot, about the Moco Woco Coco event.
So I think this is an informal idea that Nichelle and Melissa Ward and I talked about as a way to increase engagement with the community and provide some support to community members, and also hear from community members about what they might be needing right now, since it's hard to predict and understand what people might be needing. So the event, or the idea, was to just set up like some tables around town, perhaps maybe at the mill. And I can't remember, Melissa Ward was going to look into that to see if that was going to be allowed, and invite community members to come have cocoa, which would be like socially distanced, and like I'm envisioning just like big pots of water, and then we can package up like cocoa cups. People can just like take one cup, touch water, move along, right? And then they can come talk with us about some of their ideas. So that's the idea if it's person to person. But another idea could be that we just drop off cocoa packets to different places around town where we know there's like women leaders, women-owned businesses, and then with information for how to reach out to us and contact us to share their ideas with us. Or we could even have a link to a virtual cocoa event where they could drink hot cocoa and talk with us. So that's the idea. I went to Sam's Club and priced it out. Like travel cups and cocoa is pretty cheap. Like probably less than $100 to get, yeah, because like the big packages of cups with to-go lids is like $30. And then like packages of hot cocoa, or if you did like scoops into bags, is like $30. And then the creative part of it, I'm not so great on the creative part, but like if there's just like a creative little tag with like a scan code to the website or something that were attached to it, I think that would probably be all that was needed. And then of course, like labor, figuring out who to distribute to, who to invite, and then how to get resources there. But I'm happy to drive around town and drop things off places.
So what places might you be thinking of? I mean, I'm always big on inclusion, right? So I would be fearful of missing people that we might want to hear from, right?
Yeah, that's the piece I have no idea. I have like no idea who the list is. Like the sampling frame, I don't know that, but I don't even know who would have it.
Right.
But I'm happy to like do the logistics of like.
Right, you want to carry it out. You're the carry outer.
But I don't know who to carry it to her.
Right, that's right. The carry a tour.
Yeah.
One thing I think would be a good starting resource for that is the list that Trent compiled when we did the 26 days and 26 ways in 26 days social justice campaign, because a lot of the businesses on there were minority owned and by women. So that's a good resource to start. But then also I imagine that the city of Bloomington, and I say imagine, but I know this exists, they also have a resource list of woman-owned businesses in Bloomington. Yeah. I don't necessarily know if it captures the county.
Well, so the chamber probably has something too, I'm guessing, for women-owned businesses, I'm guessing.
It probably would, if it didn't capture the county, I bet it captures a lot of it. And I bet, like Liz is saying, I bet the chamber can supplement it, because I use the chamber as sort of a stepping off point for the list I made. And then I kind of went through and did the IDS article and compared, and then did some individual reach outs to make sure I wasn't sending people to a place that was kind of taking a break during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Are we looking just to reach business owners?
Good question. I mean, there's certainly many leaders who aren't business owners, that's for sure.
Yes.
And individuals, right?
Individuals, maybe not even leaders. Maybe we want to hear from the
Right.
general QP public.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being stationed at, maybe we have different sites around the county where people can come to us, and then that way the struggle would be, how do we get the word out and to whom that will be there? But maybe it's just that we need to take a combination of approaches.
Yeah.
I know I came in a few minutes late after you guys got started, but this is in my wheelhouse of things that we do with our events. In fact, we just did an event at the school where part of it was that we handed out little hot chocolate kits. So I know that you just ran your numbers and all that too. So I could, back you up on any of that, because I do that all of the time. I kind of like the idea of not having a station, but having kits, because I feel like you might get someone to feel appreciated when they get something and then go, oh, who is this promo? I've never heard of them. And they may take that next step further to look at it. Whereas I feel like if you just did a station where they came to you and they're not paying attention, they're thinking, oh, okay, hot chocolate, I'm gonna go be on my way. So it feels a little more intimate and personal if you were to hand them something. So then it's a matter of how many do you want to do and who do you want to encompass?
Yeah. And would the project have any sort of, with the goal of in its publication?
So it could, so I really like the idea of dropping off kits and like with some information that people can use to reach out and contact us. And maybe when they reach out, I don't know what the webpage looks like, but like a summary of the survey findings, like they could, so, hey, come learn about what Monroe County is up to. Here's some of the things we're doing. And here's a quick link or like a, comment box area where you can tell more. And then our meetings are open. Feel free to attend our meetings. They're on these dates. And maybe even like, we're also going to host a virtual COCO event if you want to just meet your commissioners and find out what we're doing.
And and remind them that these meetings like today are public, right? I mean, and they're on record. So, I mean, they have access to what it is this group is at least discussing. And it depends on what we have the capacity to do. And we need more people to do things, right? I mean, we're all stretched thin, just like everybody else is. And so we have to think about that. But, and speaking of the survey, I mean, I don't think we're anywhere near ready for a survey. So if we're planning this COCO event, I think we wouldn't have a survey yet to share because we haven't even got it compiled to put out to receive information on, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought this is only my third meeting, but in the first meeting that I attended, Nichelle presented some like findings from a survey, I thought, and that's what I was referencing.
Oh, that one. Okay. So I was talking about the one where we're talking about surveying people now.
Oh yeah, no, I just meant the information that I saw in that first meeting, a couple of meetings back was really helpful to see. It was actually, a lot of it was like a list of everything that had been done in 2020. So like that type of information would be really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, now I'm with you.
I have a question for you guys. Mim, I really liked your recommendation about the drop off and then the virtual meeting. So what I saw in my mind are our logos printed on stickers that we can attach to cocoa packs or the traveling cups, right? So we put a cup and a cocoa pack and a note that says, join us for this virtual whatever. And then on the note, we can also, in that little package, we could also include like a flyer to post at these different businesses so that the patrons of those businesses also see the invitation, right? So it's like a direct hey, here, we're bringing this to you because we really want you there, but we're also inviting your patrons so that, like Michelle was saying, we reach the general public. I think that could be neat. I like that because I think people are still hesitant about COVID, especially since there's the new strain that is now found in 6 different states. And so I don't know what that means for Monroe County, but I think
and the vaccination, the vaccination rate is, I mean, we're going from the eldest down. So, I mean, we're really, it's going to be a while before things really free up to do much in person with much contact.
Yeah. So I like the virtual option, but I do like this personal, like, we're going to come to you and like bring this to you. Michelle, when you asked the question of do we want to only reach business people, I would say no. So I think on that delivery list, like of invites, we could have some strategic partners. So like if we want to take it to Monroe County staff, right? Monroe County government staff, like if we were to drop something off at the courthouse, or if we were to take it to like some of the social service agencies, or, just different people. I think it could be harder if we do it someplace like IU, because of how everything is like spread out and who would you reach. But when we think about the community, I think we could do the delivery with some strategic invitations and not just target business owners. And then we hold perhaps a Zoom call where it's general format, kind of like this, where we open up and then we go into small groups facilitated by commissioners, where we have some predetermined questions that help us get to the heart of what we're trying to capture with the survey. If we were to have some survey data ahead of time, we could share in the meeting, like, hey, we sent this survey out. Here are some of the responses. This is what we're hearing that women need. So women are like, we need more green apples to make amazing apple pies. And we say that in the meeting, or if we need more coding programs for girls in high school, or if we need more resources to navigate COVID, right? Like we say those things and then say, what do you guys think about that? And here's some more qualitative responses to maybe the top 5 or top 7 things we pull out of the survey. So I think we could do the strategic invitation, include the QR code on whatever we do. So like our branded sticker, a QR code where they could register, and then also an invitation for the patrons of their business or office. The other question that I have then, which we don't have quorum, so we can't vote on this, but how then do we get the survey out ahead of the virtual event? And is this something we want to try to plan for March, considering that's Women's History Month? Would this be something good to do then? Does that give us enough time to do some planning, to get the survey out, and then to implement in March? Any thoughts? So first thought, do we like the strategic invite delivery strategy to reach business owners and community members? Okay. I'm saying a yes, like we like that, but we can't vote that that's going to be the strategy. And then do we want to try to distribute the survey ahead of the event so that we can use the survey data, even in its initial form, to guide conversations for the virtual meeting?
I can see that working 2 ways, because dropping off the packets could also be a way to get out information to take the survey. It could be a great way to advertise, like, come learn about us, come take our survey. Here's a QR code to our survey. So I think it doesn't, I don't think we have to have the survey done before the event. I can see it working either way.
I like the idea too of these are the women that we want to take the survey, and the Zoom call would be let's get together and kind of discuss some of those questions.
Yeah. I think Michelle froze for a minute. There's also, I like the idea of March being Women's History Month. Also, there's the inauguration coming up. We could target like, I don't know.
On the 20th?
In general, it wouldn't, like in general being like, hey, let's watch inauguration on Zoom, or like celebrate the first female vice president. But now I get that it's taken on different tones in recent days.
Or we could even go for like mid-February to get all of the cocoa out, kind of like a week to Valentine's Day, and then with the wrap up being in March. So that way they have plenty of time to maybe finally get to their cocoa packet, because, you know, it may have sat there for a minute. It may have taken a little while for everybody to get it in their boxes, kind of thing. And then hopefully they would register through the survey. So then that way we would also know how to contact them again to remind them of the we could have the Zoom link ahead of time as well, but then to kind of go back and remind them.
Yes, I love that idea. Like psychologically, like if we put out these hot cocoa baskets with like maybe a little heart on them around Valentine's Day, and people are feeling a little vulnerable and they're like, I'll take that cocoa, put it in my pocket, call you in March.
Okay, so a couple of great ideas that I'm hearing. One, we could totally do something for the inauguration and celebration of Kamala Harris, right? So we could host, this is separate from the survey community focus group. Like the commission could host a viewing party, right? We could just do that. That's something completely separate though. That's not this MoCo, WOCO, COCO event.
A lot of O's.
That's tough to remember. That is tough to say. But that would be something separate. So let's put a pin in that, because I think that would be awesome. But we would need to try to confirm some details around that today, because we won't meet again before the inauguration. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is, and as I'm saying this to you and thinking out loud, Liz and Trent, would we need to call a special meeting in order to actually pull this off by inauguration? Because we would need 10-day notice to actually vote that we were going to do this, right? Do we need to take up a vote to do a viewing party?
That is a tough question. I have always been under the impression to call any meeting of just any entity was literally a 2-day, 48-hour notice, so the notice is posted legally for the public. But I mean, I don't think there's a special statute governing us that makes us different than that 10-day. I guess the 10 days is not registering with me. I think we can call a meeting and 48 hours later, theoretically, have a vote on something. One thing on this, I would say, we are close to that inauguration. And I almost wonder if, I don't know, I guess I'm not completely sure that it requires a vote to coordinate some sort of recognition of a historic event, so to speak. But if we wanted to record it as official action of the commission, I guess we could. I mean, county legal could ultimately tell us if that 10-day, there's something about 10-day or 48 hours or what. But to vote, yeah, we'd have to do that. I'm sorry, it wasn't very helpful on that.
No, perfectly fine. So could you reach out to county legal for us, Trent, and get an affirmative on that? Because if we don't have to call a special meeting, then, well, if we don't have to, I just don't know if we have to vote on that.
The key on that, on anything involved with us in our official capacity, is always going to be that it's an event or it's a thing around commemorating the event and not political, which sounds ridiculous for me to say, but you just always have to make sure that a governmental entity is not doing a campaign kickoff or what have you, which this isn't even close. It's a distinct historic event.
Yeah.
I don't even know that it requires a vote, but I'll ask legal because I've wandered around too much on my speculation.
Let's get a firm on that. I remember the last time when we needed to call the special meeting ahead of, there was an event that we were doing, the campaign, the social justice campaign. We needed to have that special vote because we didn't have quorum, and Jessica worked with us to get it all put together, but there was a 10-day notice that we were required to be under. So I don't know what the difference is, but Trent, thanks for helping us learn more.
Yeah, and I think part of it might have to do with whether we're doing this under the auspices of the Monroe County Women's Commission, right? I mean, nothing prevents us from coming together as individual citizens and pulling this off. But if we want to do it under the auspices of the commission, I think that's where the legal requirement comes from.
Which I think we should.
I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I think that's where the legal requirement comes from.
Yeah, I would want us to do this under our commission hat in partnership with the Bloomington Commission, if possible.
Yeah.
So I know Nicole is not here today. She did just send me an email saying that she won't be able to make it. No new updates from BCSW. They canceled their meeting yesterday due to lack of quorum. So we can try to reach out to them to see if they're doing anything for it and potentially be a partner or the host. So I'll work on that today. So that's one bucket. We're interested in doing something to commemorate the inauguration of the first female vice president, Kamala Harris.
Yeah. So that 10-day thing then is coming right up. So this is Friday. So if we need to have something in place legally and notified by the 10th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is Sunday,
yeah.
Right?
10 days from that will be the 20th. Yeah, we're right up on it. We'll see what we can put together. So that's one thing. The other thing is this idea of distribution around the mid-February mark for the Moco Woco Coco event. And then the actual execution of the event in March being Women's History Month. I like both ideas, actually. I like how they work with each other. My thing for you all is if we deliver the cocoa around Valentine's Day, how will we continue marketing the event and making sure people don't forget within the 2 to 3 week time frame of when we would do the actual event in March?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we won't know who picked up the cocoa. We won't have necessarily a full-on roster of people who are interested. So it's not like we could even send out routine emails and reminders. So how will we make sure to keep them engaged and aware of the event leading up to it?
Mm-hmm.
What if they did, when they pick up the packet, they have like a scan code that they can go to and register? So they just put in their name and their email, and then we can email them reminders about the event before it happens.
I also had another thought too, because not everyone's just going to go scan something to register for something that they're not sure they want to do. But what if we had some type of door prize or something where nothing big, but just something that they're more inclined to scan for the door prize. But then we have a roster of where we dropped off. So we circle back within, depending on what our dates are. Let's say that we did this after spring break, and it was like the Friday after spring break, and we went on Monday and we went back and just dropped off another little flyer. Don't forget, we're doing this on Friday, because you don't want to do it too soon before spring break, because then everybody gets off the radar. But then you want to be quick enough and yet enough time for them to remember and put it back on their calendar.
So what I like about that, Jill, is the multiple touch points. But my question is, do we think we have the capacity to do 2 deliveries?
Yeah.
I guess it depends how many are on the list. I mean, I'm sure all of us, I'm willing to drop stuff off too. So I think it just depends on what the length of that list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We divide it up, you know, in equal. So we're doing it within the same location. It makes it a whole lot easier. And
Okay.
I'm willing to work on this with anybody. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Okay, so Jill, you'll be, how about you be the official point commissioner for this initiative, and Mim as a community member can continue working with Jill on this, and anyone else interested?
Jill, I'm happy to help. I mean, as I will tell you though, as we approach March, that's my office's annual conference. And us, like many people, are trying to figure out how to switch that virtual. And now it's going from a 2-day to a 4-day. So as we approach that day, time will get tighter for me, but in early planning, I can help for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so Michelle, Jill, and Mim will do the lift and help us keep learning more about our options. Jill, as Michelle has to start rolling off towards March, I'll step in and be, hands in the mix to help you get it done. Sound good?
Yep. And then I guess the biggest question is what would the budget be? And I'm going to make the suggestion that we don't throw in the cups, because I feel like it's just an added expense and everybody has cups of their own. And we can still bundle the cocoa packets if that's the direction you want to go. Really cute.
How many are we thinking about doing? What do you think a realistic number is we'll be handing out?
Okay, so in my mind, because you guys know I do the most, I think we need at least 100 packets out there. At least 100, because we'll likely only get participation from about a third of those people. So we'll likely end up with the focus group size of 30.
That would be amazing though.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's a good smattering. And if you break them up where, I don't know whether we'd have any message about sharing it with others, but I think we would want to somehow encourage that if you really want a broad audience, right?
Mm-hmm. And so when you say 100, are you thinking of one location we're dropping off 10 to 15? Or are you thinking 100 different locations?
Good question.
Not 100 different locations.
With that.
Not 100 different locations, but I think we could realistically come up with
maybe 10 places for sure, with maybe the idea of about 10.
No, I'm thinking, so I was thinking that we could probably find, because don't quote me on this, but I want to say Trent's list alone had 25 plus businesses on there.
Yeah.
Alone, just the businesses. So I'm thinking we can find 50 places in Bloomington. I'm thinking about the different congregations, the different workplaces, like when we think about HUD, we think about DCS, we think about Youth Services Bureau. Like I'm thinking about like wide reaching places.
Well, and I'm thinking about the hospital, especially now.
Yeah.
I mean, majority of the staff or nurses that are women, right?
Yeah.
So when we put the packages together, are we doing 4 cocoa packages in the package? Are we doing 10? Like at our drop-off location, how much hot chocolate individual cups are we planning for? And I think COVID, we're not scooping, we're doing self-serve individual packages. So are we dropping off, here's a package of 10, share with your employees and your customers? Are we doing 10? Seems like a reasonable number, but that's obviously upping our cost. If we're doing, that's 500 packets, if we're talking about 50 drop-offs.
So
yeah, and then you're bound to have some where you've got a packet for people, but not enough packets. You know what I mean? Not enough cocoa packets. And so then how do you then involve the ones who don't get a packet with the same level of desire to participate, right? So is there a way to maybe have a packet and a flyer about what it is we're doing, and then maybe the flyers could be posted in break rooms or whatever they have where the employees can gather, or a bulletin board or somewhere, right?
Or business cards.
Pardon me?
I was gonna, go ahead, Meme.
I was gonna say business cards. So we could have packets of hot cocoa with like business cards so people can take one thing. We could also even like do tea packets if those are inexpensive too.
What kind of packet? I missed it.
Tea.
Oh, uh-huh.
I was going to say it should have both, that if each package has like a business card attached, and we sent a flyer that could be posted in a break room or whatever, not only would each individual maybe wasn't there for the drop off and didn't know what it was, but had the business card to explain, and then anyone who just was not getting a package could still be an open invitation. So I think minimally we do both of those.
So I have a suggestion. I have a bunch of these little boxes that make a 4x4 box. That's a cute little, I'm trying to put it together very quickly here.
Cute. Love crafts.
Yeah. So this is what we actually put our little cookies in for our event. And I have probably the number that we need for, 50 easily. And we could put in maybe 2 hot cocoa packets and put in some tea bags and make it look like a little gift. And we could easily put our sticker or something on here and then put the additional cards on the inside. So then that way it's a gift to, it's packaged nicely. It's a gift to the agency or location. And then even then it can, maybe we can put our sticker here so it sits like this.
Yeah.
That way it's still a gift for many people, but we don't have to necessarily decide how many people. And you're not, so then it looks like it was a package instead of just here, it would have been cute however we did it, but then this might have a little more impact.
Thanks. So Jill, what I like about that, and what I also like about, I think it was Mim that threw out the idea of tea packs. They're smaller. We can fit more into that box. Like we probably could easily fit 10 or so tea packs into that box. So is
there cocoa tea? Is there cocoa tea? Is there cocoa tea?
Oh, I don't know. There's chai tea.
I don't know about that, but we can make it tea time with the commission, right? Like women's tea hour. It can be, we can definitely play up on the tea as well. It's still a hot beverage. It's during a cold time. It could also be really cute around Valentine's Day if we did a play on sweet tea, sweet tea. Okay, you guys can go for that. That's fine. But no, this could be good. I like the box idea because then we could put, I think we could buy the tea packs in bulk, and we can get the nicer tea packs, like the kind that are like individually wrapped with like their own label, like
Bigelow,
lemongrass or Earl Grey or English breakfast teas, right?
Right.
We can get those at Sam's Club. So let's knock out the idea of the cup. Let's replace it with a box that has.
I like the box.
Several.
It's more like a present. It's like a gift.
Yeah.
Yes. On the box, on the top of it, because I like that plastic cutout. On the top can be our logo on a sticker. But when you open the box, a sticker of the same size could have the QR code on the inside. So that scans to the survey, and then we can print rectangular stickers on the side of the box that tell people what we're trying to accomplish. Yep. So like, join us for tea time with the commission ahead of, like we put the date and then say, please take this survey include the link. So we can include the link right now, and then also in a smaller sticker next to it, include a QR code that will take them directly to, so that if they're standing there at this box, like I'm thinking about in the nurses in our emergency department, if they're looking at this box, they literally will scan to take the survey. They will scan to get event flyer. They'll be done. They'll be on their way. Works in the workplace as well. If you have that up on your receptionist desk, people come in, they grab a tea pack. Oh, they see the Women's Commission stickers. Oh, all these QR codes. And then also having like individual flyers that we can put in the places with it that people can just stick. So when that box gets thrown away, they can just stick the flyer to a bulletin board or have it in a team room. So I like the idea of the box, and I like the idea of the tea packs.
I think it would be good to include human resource professionals in the area. First of all, they're very in tune with their workforce, and they could be a part of making sure that these things get in the right place in each workplace we may be trying to target. I know there's a South Central Indiana Human Resource group. I think they call themselves SIRA or something like that. And that would be a good one to connect with, to see if they would be willing to, and maybe, I mean, this could even be so much easier if they'd be willing to do, if they have a meeting coming up and we have this all ready by their meeting and they can take it back to their workplaces, woohoo, distribution kind of solved, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
like
that could be possible.
Can I ask a quick question? I just quick Googled, I guess I'm just asking my question. Is it okay if I jump in?
Go for it, ma'am.
I just quick Googled David's tea and like sponsorship just to see if it would be possible to get some donated tea, and David's tea came up and so did Numi tea. Like, am I allowed to just email them and ask if they'd be willing to sponsor this kind of thing? Or because it's a county event, we have to like ask people, like, is that allowed? Can I like stick some feelers out, or is that bad?
So in general, we are allowed to partner with local businesses and companies to get donations. That's fine. But I think if we were to start making solicitations in that way, we would have to have a commission vote that said, yes, we're actually doing this. So we can't do that yet because we don't have quorum. But if we get quorum and we vote yay for it, then yes, we can just reach out to businesses.
Okay, because one other thought too is that there's local tea businesses in town, and we might want to ask them if they'd be willing to sell to us at cost. So then we'd be distributing their tea.
If we can find a women-owned business.
I mean, even if we didn't find a woman-owned, like giving the money to a local business as opposed to Sam's Club, if they could give it to us at cost, they might build positive feelings. My words today are not here. But if we could find a woman-owned tea, like that would be spectacular.
I think I have a connection to Blooming Tea that I can check into, and I think it's a family-owned.
And I would encourage us not to necessarily ask for it at cost. You know, women historically tend to offer things for free, tend to not ask for money for their services, and you know, it'd be great if they gave us a break and didn't give it to us at retail, but I would, you know, I just don't want to continue to take, I don't want to say take advantage, but you know, it'd be nice to give them some money. It'd be nice to be supportive and not, because women are more likely to say, sure, we'll do this for nothing. Yes, take all my time. Yes.
Yeah, and I meant it.
I recognize that.
I meant it. Yeah, definitely. I definitely support everything you said. I meant it in contrast to asking for free tea from David's Tea and Numi, that we wouldn't ask local people for free tea, that we'd ask for it at cost. But I even like what you're suggesting even more.
Yeah, it's like a bit of money.
Yeah, like if we're going to pay Sam's Club, we can.
Yeah, because we have to recognize, especially small businesses right now are struggling to keep the doors open. And I would hate to contribute to, and would you give us something for nothing? Let's see if we can throw something their way.
No.
What do we have for funds?
That's what I was about to say. Let us be mindful. We don't have an account. The Women's Commission does not have an account with money in it to do these things. So we're going to be, when we start incurring costs, just know someone has to pay for it, right? What I will say for this event, under my hat with the garden, I'm willing to sponsor a certain amount so that we could purchase tea from a local company. But like, it has to be clear, like that's not commission money. We don't actually have commission money for this type of event. The only monies that we have are funding for girls coding camp. And we don't even have that. Ivy Tech is the fiduciary body. So I want to put that out there. We're talking and brainstorming about how we're going to pay for this stuff. We don't have money.
Well, and I will say that, you know, I would like to see numbers, but I can, you know, I'm happy to help, you know, depending on the dollar amount, I can pay for
Yeah.
or contribute or sponsor. So like,
Yeah.
let's get some real money. Let's get some
And
real
I'm willing to donate the
dollars.
boxes.
The
Yeah.
boxes.
So,
Okay.
for
Okay.
sure.
And I will also donate along with that. So, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like the working group should probably come up with a budget for how much this is going to cost, and things to include are the cost of the stickers.
Yep.
Make
tea bag.
sure that we have enough of the boxes, and then the actual printing of flyers and the tea.
Yep. I'm very frugal. So, you know, I work in public education.
You're fiscally responsible, Jill, not
Yes.
frugal, fiscally responsible.
But I know how to find the best deal.
There it is. Okay. So we are putting this out there as something to actively explore. We are not adopting this as an official commissioners event until we hear back on whether or not, well, one, until we have quorum where we could talk about it. But this sounds great. So
We've got a deadline for, like, I feel like we could probably work within a week to at least have a preliminary outline and budget with the ideas all encompassed. And then if we could have, is that something that maybe I can email out to everyone, and then we have a date to by like next Friday? Mem, does that work for you?
I was just gonna send you my email address in the chat so you could do that, but I think the chat's disabled, so.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll make sure to actually,
I can
Mim is on the calendar invite, so you should be able to see contact information on the calendar invite. So
and my email's on
that.
my email's on IU's website too. It's just mirnorth@indiana.edu. That's public knowledge, so.
And Jill, you have mine, yes?
Yes. So I will send out an email to Michelle and then we'll go from there and try to wrap this up within a week so that we can vote.
Yep.
And then we'll add a timeline in there.
Well, let me say this. When you say wrap it up within a week so that we can vote, when are you expecting the vote to happen? Ahead of our next commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so then we would have to call a special meeting for that.
Okay.
And I think that is what's going to put us back into 10-day notice. We're going to learn more from Trent.
And I've got a message out on that. And it occurred to me while I was sending that, is the 10-day like for the notice to be posted on the county website?
I believe so. Yeah,
wherever the public posted
for that amount of time so the public knows.
Okay. And that's the commissioners handle that for us. All right. Let me see what Margie, the county legal, says about that.
Okay.
And then I'll get back.
So
I need some clarity about how that holds up. What would Jill, Mim, and I be working on that would actually be stalled by waiting for quorum or 10 days? I mean, we're not actually delivering yet. We're not expending commission money yet. So what actions are we being held up on?
So there needs to be a budget and a plan. The budget and the plan needs to be discussed in the meeting so that the commissioners can take up a vote on whether or not we're moving forward with this.
So we wouldn't be purchasing anything yet.
No. We need the budget and the plan. But what I'm saying is you're doing this work right now, but this is not official. Like, it's not set in stone that this is what we're doing until we have quorum to take the vote.
Okay.
But
So
then
it seems like they could be an exploration committee. Why can't they be an exploration committee?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then once we have the vote, then we can go ahead and make purchases and work on. But I don't want to wait until our next meeting to make that decision.
Right.
Especially if we're going to try to get this out around Valentine's Day. A heads up is our commission meeting. Our next meeting is on the 12th of February. Yeah. So we don't want to wait until then to vote. So I'm with you, Jill, on calling a special meeting. And the budgetary component is going to be really important because as soon as we start talking about money as a commission, we have to be held accountable by the public. Like so we have to have a meeting where we'll need quorum for that. I don't know about the inauguration thing, but I know for sure about this, we'll need quorum to vote. Yeah. So right now, no official commission business is happening. We're just exploring, creating a plan, once we get, so Jill, what I heard you say is that Friday is your deadline. If we initiate the request for a special meeting on Monday, I don't know if I think it's 10 days, not 10 business days.
I think it's 10 days.
Okay.
So the soonest we would be able to meet would be January 21st to take up the vote. And that would give you 2 weeks ahead of our February meeting to do any purchasing, any next level things, so that by the time we get to that February meeting, the whole plan should be in place. We should have everything assembled, ready to go, ready to be delivered on Monday. Well, I guess Valentine's Day is on Sunday. So really you could start delivering that Friday. There's no reason why we couldn't.
It's going to be tight, but it can be done.
Yeah, it's going to be tight, but it can be done. I'll send Jessica an email and ask if she can go through the process again of getting us that, putting in that meeting request, because she was the one who helped us tremendously on that last special meeting we had to call. So I'll send Jessica that email. Okay. Any other, this was good. Okay, we just talked for 50 minutes about cocoa that then turned into tea. Good stuff. Any final questions about this? Okay. So we still do not have quorum. So today's conversations are going to be primarily, again, exploratory. I do want to say this. We do have commissioner applications in the pipeline. So we still have Sherelle Hines, Melissa Ward. Melissa Ward, who has been attending meetings off and on for about the last year and a half or so, is going to be taking sabbatical with her husband. So she'll still be here as a resident, but they may travel for months at a time, right? And so she reached out and shared that while she's really, really interested in serving, she's okay if there's another best fit for someone who will be in our community for the year, if that makes sense, or for the term. So her application is in there. She is interested, but she's an asterisk. Like if there's someone else who's interested that's local, that can be more hands-on, she would defer to them. Rebecca Uticong, Mem, who's on the call today. Mem, there was an error, or so the commission's office said they didn't receive your application initially. So I've sent that over for consideration and have made a recommendation, like you've been attending the meetings, you're a strategic partner on some of these projects, you know, we're supporting that appointment. So I'll let you know if they have any questions. And then Rima Payne, we also received another one from Dina the other day. The woman's last name is escaping me, but her first name is Shelby. She has applied, and actually Commissioner Thomas is encouraging us to connect with Shelby and learn more, because she thinks that Shelby would be a great fit for our commission. So I'm going to reach out to Shelby and meet with her the same way that I met with everyone else who was new and interested in learning. I'm going to meet, share more. Commissioner Thomas does not know if Shelby is even interested in serving on the Women's Commission, but she thinks she'd be a good fit. So I'm just going to learn more. So we have all of these in the pipeline. From the commissioner side of the house, we have 2 spots to fill. We have 1 that is vacant. So that will be a start of a new term. Then we have 1 that is replacing Commissioner Starks. So you'll be fulfilling the rest of Amy's term, and then if reappointed, starting your own. So I will let you guys know as these things continue to shake down. They're supposed to be making their decision soon, I believe. And I believe County Council is also making some decisions soon. Is that right, Trent?
Yeah, that is correct. From what I understand, they will be meeting with and talking with the applicants where there's to move forward with that process.
Okay. And then also we talked about in the past that in order to increase and strengthen our relationship with County Council, we know that Trent has served with us for 2 years. We love Trent being here. We would happily like welcome Trent back, but We also know that there may be other people who are interested in serving in that liaison role with county council. So just so you all know, we're going to keep, I think the county council will have to have their conversation, make their decisions around who gets assigned where, but just know that we could be potentially getting a new person or keeping Trent. We don't know until that county council meeting happens. Trent, if you do roll out, we've appreciated you being here. Love having you here. But if you stay, I mean, you know, the work will continue. So
thank you. And either way, I'm always here. I hope everyone knows, and I always try to be helpful in any way I can. And it's been my role.
There it is. Moving forward in 2021, this is going to be the final meeting where I make a call for a volunteer secretary. And then we're going to just start assigning people to be secretaries for the meetings, because I cannot facilitate this public meeting and do the minutes, right? So in the past, we had a phenomenal commissioner, Commissioner Nixon, who maintained the minutes, and she was really, really, really timely with getting these things to Dina. The reality is I'm not in compliance right now as your chair because I'm not submitting the meeting minutes. So I don't want this to continue being a trend in 2021. You guys know how I am. I'm very type A about some things. So is anyone on this call, ma'am, sorry, you can't be the person, but is any other commissioner on this call willing to be the secretary for 2021?
I'm just going to say the reason why I'm not jumping at this.
Okay.
This is not in my wheelhouse.
Okay.
I already know that I would do okay. I would not do great.
Okay.
So, I joke with people all the time that I cannot be a 911 operator. People would die. So,
okay.
Lots of things I can do. This piece of it, I have to listen, and I can't. I keep my own notes, but they are not what everybody else needs.
Okay. Okay. Liz, you're also not in, obviously, contending for that because you serve as the vice chair. So
yeah.
Right.
Plus, I've just got way too many other things I do this on already.
Yeah.
Right.
Michelle, any interest in serving as secretary?
It is not in my interest to add something. I am happy to do it when we rotate. I have rotated it before.
We did it before.
But I do not
want to have it be an onerous task. I think is too much for many of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much for many of us, but someone has to do it because right now we're not fulfilling the open door policy that we're supposed to be submitting these documents on. So we're getting
right. But if we rotate it and share it that way, is that allowable?
So it is, but someone has to be responsible for it, is what I'm saying. So here's the thing: we rotate, someone's out for whatever, they give their proxy to someone else. Then we have to find a replacement in the last minute based on the rotating schedule. I understand no one's really excited to do this, but right now, to be transparent, what's saving us is that we're recording the meetings because they're virtual. This may not, I have put out a feeler to see what the commissioners plan on doing if we return in person, if virtual will still be an option, all the things, they're not sure. So
I guess I'm wondering if we could make up a schedule based on however many of us there are and just assign a month, and then we know each month who was taking that month.
Okay, Liz, do you want to own that?
You want me to make a schedule? I'd be happy to make a schedule.
Yep. And
that I can do.
Assign people.
I'm a good delegator. I can handle that.
Okay, so you can assign people and...
Well, I think I'll send out a survey to folks and ask them to sign up. Otherwise, they'll get assigned.
Right.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. What I will say is we need to make the assignments based on who's serving now.
I got it.
On the vacant spots. And then as we add new people, then we can open up the availability to more people.
So I'll contact the current Women's Commission members, including some that aren't here. And then we'll go from there, and hopefully we'll have at least a few months assigned, and then we'll figure it out from then.
Perfect.
And if there's a process, I mean, Nichelle said something about getting them, you know, there's one thing to take minutes. That's what I've done. But what happens after that? I don't necessarily know what the process is. So if there's a process that needs to be written down for each individual to be doing, or if someone's just owning this and then getting it to the next, collecting those minutes and getting it to the next step. Like, I don't know what it looks like after the minutes are taken. I sent them to Nichelle.
Yeah,
they go to
fine. So in the past, what has happened, Diana took the minutes. Now I don't expect this from anyone else. Commissioner Nixon was a superhero in this way. She would take the minutes and immediately at the end of the meeting would send me whatever the draft form was. It wasn't always in the prettiest form. Sometimes there was shorthand, sometimes there were things to clarify. She would send me the meeting minutes. I will go back through them to make sure that they're accurate, to make sure that all the links are working and that they're where they need to be. And then I would send those to Dina DeLauters with the commissioner's office. Dina then posts them. She posts our agenda, any documents, so like our annual report and our meeting minutes, she posts those to the website. I then also make sure to save the meeting minutes to our shared folder so that you guys have them for review in the future. Yeah. So literally the secretary does the note-taking portion, then they send it off to me to make sure that it's accurate, and then I send it to Dina.
Okay. I'll send out the query and we'll get a designated list of who's doing what when.
Perfect. So in February, we should have some sort of model that is working. Moving forward, if we don't have a secretary for a meeting, I'm going to suggest that we do not meet, because I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by having these very good meetings. All the conversations are happening. We're not disseminating this information to the community. I mean, obviously they can tap into the recording, but as far as our minutes, we're not getting that out. We're not fulfilling our roles as commissioners with what we're supposed to be doing in respect to open door. So if we can't do that, I don't think we should be meeting and handling business if we can't take care of the logistical side. So let's really try to get us a system that works so that we're compliant and we don't get questioned or anyone gets called to the carpet about what was said in the meeting. Yeah. Perfect example of where something like this might be important is this situation with Ivy Tech and partnering with Girls Coding, right? There's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes on behalf of both partners that if we didn't have this documented in public meetings and writings and agendas and meeting minutes, if we were to get called to the carpet about, well, where did this $50,000 go? Where's the remaining stuff that is supposed to be branded for Girls Coding Camp? Like all of this stuff has to be documented in a way that would protect all of us from any consequences. So let's make sure we get these meeting minutes. Yep. Final point of commissioner business, please make sure your contact information is updated. There is a form in our Google Drive that has everyone's contact information. If you can go in there, review it. If you're good to go, leave a little note or perhaps change the color of your name to some other color so that I can see that you've reviewed the document. Make sure that it's updated every year, but I haven't updated it since 2019. So I just want to make sure that we have all the right things. Okay. Any questions about the logistics of the commission? My full disclosure, my term is up January 2021. So I am one of the commissioners that is being reviewed for reappointment. If you feel like, hey, Nichelle needs to get out of here, this girl is stressing us out, she's all over the place, like we don't know what she's doing with her leadership, please send that note to Liz, right? Like Liz is the vice chair. She absolutely is able to communicate those concerns to county council. I will not be offended. Send them to Liz. Liz will then sit me down and give me an FYI, but I did submit a request for reappointment. So I'm hoping to, still be on board, but it's very possible that county council is like, nah, She gotta go.
So.
Trent could be like, she is too much. Get her out of there. So I could not be here for the February meeting, but just joking. Just wanted you guys to know that I also resubmitted for reappointment. Okay. Any other questions about Commissioner Logistics, Commissioner Business?
Are we on open yet? Is that a call for open item?
So nope. I was asking if we had any question about the logistics, and then I was going to pitch back to Liz to talk about the community engagement survey and the information that she collected. Liz, you want to take a few moments to talk about that?
Sure. I did solicit, and the only one of you that gave me lists of questions was Michelle, so I thank her for that. And I did share all this list with Michelle, or excuse me, the only one that submitted was Michelle, and I did send it on to Nichelle. Have we got that? And so I can share the whole thing, which includes the list of survey questions that Michelle had itemized. And then also I included the email exchange between Mim and Jessica Calarco about Mim's inquiry about what it is that had happened there that she talked about a little bit about last month. And then I also went through my notes of the last meeting and found some things there that I thought we had discussed that were relevant to where we're at as well. And so I can either go through, I've got 4 pages of stuff here and go through that now, or I could just simply send this all to you all for review. I don't know which is better. What would you prefer, Nichelle?
So I think you can definitely send the document to all, but if you want to kind of give an idea of some of the
let me just kind of summarize. Yeah, let me just summarize. So Michelle talked a lot about what the needs are, whether it's financial, the current needs you're having, what not being met, those kinds of things. Top 3 things would help you at this time. What services or programs, you're working from home, where are you actually working now? Or are you seeking employment? Those kind of things. Do you have dependents? What about resources? Are you aware of what Monroe County has? And what about us? Do they know about us? Do they know about the Women's Commission? And then how can the Women's Commission best serve? So those are the things she talked about. In Mim's reach out to Jessica Calarco, who Mim had talked about this survey that she thought Jessica had done before, and she referenced it in her communication to Jessica. And then Jessica wrote back and made some recommendations. One of them first was getting in touch with the city of Bloomington, Rick Deeds, who has been working on the city's digital equity strategic plan, she claims. And then she says that Rick and the team there conducted a survey of Bloomington residents, and that revealed, she claims, that many local families have substantial technological needs, which may make online learning difficult, which I think we've been hearing about. And then they're also working on a digital equity grants, which address digital equity gaps in Bloomington. And that was all about her first recommendation. And then childcare, she said that she had data from the beginning of the pandemic. So she didn't have a clear sense of what the current childcare needs are locally, but they were going to be doing a new round of surveys in the next 2 weeks. And this was written a couple of weeks before Christmas. So I suppose they've begun that by now. And she said they could probably add a question about whether mothers would use a childcare scholarship or one for available. And then she didn't know if we'd have the capacity to field a broader survey of families in Bloomington. She'd say that it would be helpful for gauging the level of interest. Essential workers, they found that essential workers were less likely than mothers working from home to have their childcare disrupted by the pandemic. Basically because essential workers are working already non-standard schedules. So they're not, your basic 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job. And so they were already using, whether it's parents, family, whatever, to help them help them with their primary care provider needs. So there were a few essential workers, she said, who had to find nannies during the pandemic, but they were mostly high income people. So like the medical doctor community or maybe high paid professionals. So it's not clear that they would qualify for a scholarship anyway in childcare. She thinks that the childcare scholarships would be most useful if families could use them not only to pay for center-based childcare, but also to pay for the extended family members or neighbors they are already relying on. Mm-hmm. Or even better, if families could use the money from the scholarships to make up for the income they are losing while providing care for their own children at home, since families may find it difficult to find care providers they can trust right now. So in terms of school age care, she thought we could get in touch with MCCSC's Kids Zone to see if that program is being fully utilized. So she claims the initial emails that went out about the program encourage families to use it only if absolutely necessary. And so that she thinks that might have scared away some families. She thinks the YMCA and some local child care centers are also offering school age care for students during online instruction, but she's not sure how those schools are being utilized. So, and then she claimed, or she offers in the end, if we end up doing a survey like this, she'd be happy to help with suggested language and potentially with other logistics. So I thought that was a really great offer. And then at our December 11th meeting, we talked some about an hourly story hour, maybe partner with Teacher Warehouse. Now I'm in Rotary and so is Trent. And so that's a big project there is Teachers Warehouse. And I know at one of our meetings already this year, we're talking about community service. So there may be a possibility there. I don't know. We'd have to explore that a little further. There's a community service committee, which you can imagine I'm already serving on. So we can certainly explore that there. I know they're thinking about community service projects for the year. So this could be something that could be a potential, or even maybe with homework help online or something like that. The Rotary kind of looks at it as if there's something for everybody to plug into and help, and just have to figure out what that is,
So then, can I ask just a quick question back to the survey? Mm-hmm. Was that was that survey going out to just Bloomington, to Monroe County School District area, or to Monroe County? Like, did
in the survey that she had already done?
Yeah, that survey that you did some.
I can give you, this is the website link. When you get the copy of this document, it lists this long website link that lists the survey that she focused on. So maybe it might just be easier there to give it to you there.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered if she actually surveyed. So what was that data representing?
Yeah, this, the note from Mim to her says, your work, talking about Jessica's work, already highlights some ways students and families need to be supported in Monroe County. So I presume it's Monroe County, but I don't know.
Okay.
But there's a link to it. You'll get that whenever you get the copies of these documents.
Thank you.
And then, we talked about other things. I know there was discussion about training opportunities for parents to be better at home, for their ability to teach at home. I mean, that's a big thing right now. Not everybody has that skill set and isn't comfortable with it or doesn't feel good about doing it. And so that's a challenge. And so anything that might be available to bring that into a better comfort level, both for the person that's doing the teaching as well as the student that's receiving it, would be a very good asset, I think, to have on hand and offer tips and all that. There was discussion about Zoom babysitters, childcare, and there was some discussion at that point about big white tents and can capture and use for gatherings. I know there was some discussion about that. And then somebody brought up the fact that IU provides 15 days of provided childcare. Could the county do this, right? I don't know. I don't know if Trent has any ideas on that, whether the county offers any sort of child care for their employees. Do you know anything about that?
I don't believe we do offer any. Yeah, candidly, I don't. I do know that childcare is a massive issue, pandemic or not. I mean, it's the cost alone is staggering.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's like I think you've mentioned before, the fact that you have two college expenses, one when they're young and one when they're older, right? And so it's a real challenge, and you've got this bookend in between where you're supporting them in other things. So it's not an easy process or inexpensive either. And then there was some discussion about how the two school districts are doing their academic work right now. There was discussion about one is using Teams and one is using Zoom. So there's a kind of a not consistent way of relating information and plugging into things either. So, I mean, these are all, and then we talked about not so many families have privilege, right? We just don't have that. Many. I mean, if you look at the figures, the median income here is not good. And we know there's a lot that are not even near that. So it's a challenge. So there's just so much. We were all, I'm thinking about my United Way work, and we all knew that people were struggling before, but this has just really cracked that open and exposed it for what it is and what it continues to be, even in a bigger magnitude than we were suspect before. So we talked about maybe working with the Boys and Girls Club as a hub, maybe United Way. I don't know if we have the capacity for that. That's not my call. And then there was discussion about maybe city county spaces that could serve as residential schools, maybe like the Banneker, which could also be used for student and at-risk homes. Some worry about students not showing up and how to reach those, right? What do we do with the ones that are just kind of, dangling out there and not getting any kind of help that we haven't identified? I mean, there's always those. How do we make sure that they're not lost in this whole fiasco of situations that we're encountering? One-on-one time with teachers, that's always been a problem. It's even much more magnitude of a problem now. Maybe others, even like Rotary or other club, maybe other service clubs could be tutors, right? I mean, there's just a wealth of people here where we just don't know whether everybody is, operating at their full capacity to help us get through these challenging times. So there's just a lot to talk about. Maybe using retired teachers, maybe Area 10. And Jill reported that RBB already reaches out to their families, which is encouraging. And I'm sure MCC does to some capacity, but is it enough? I mean, that's the question, right? Is it enough? And then what kind of virtual support do families still need? Are there things that are not evident at this point that we haven't uncovered? I mean, I don't know what they might be, but are there things? Are we missing something? That's what I always worry about. Are we missing something? And so then we talked about a little bit about partners, maybe the library, the public library in the county, United Way, Community Foundation, the school systems, and the Commission on the Status of Women. And then all the while, as we discussed at length last time, the homeless issues remain a factor regarding needs in general. And, that as I understand, there's going to be a big happening on Monday, right? Everything is just going to be going away from the right of way down there at the park, and it's going to be no more. And they're going to give them a list of, potential sort of resources. Well, that's all well and fine, but as we know, the barriers to come in with all of that. I mean, how do you access it? Just challenges out, overwhelming challenges, I think. But we have to tackle them to get a grip on it and make some progress in helping people in these really, really difficult situations. So that's kind of what I've captured here in all of these things I've collected. And I will share, like I said, I'll share this all with you all, these 4 pages, and you'll have it, and including the link that Michelle was asking for that survey that Jessica, the faculty member, had done. So.
Thank you, Liz. That was a very thorough recap of what we discussed in our last meeting, but 2, this sharing of this additional information. So I've attached the document that Liz is referring to to the calendar invite for today's meeting. So now you all have that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I would encourage you to review it. And then when we come back to our February meeting, well, we actually are trying to put together the survey ahead of the event. So please review it in time for our special meeting.
That would be good.
We're going to call so that we can confirm and solidify the survey that's going out. And then you guys would, the working group right now would be able to finalize those things. And Jill, I'm happy to create QR codes for you.
Thank you. That was on my list to ask you.
I can create each one for you. So please review that in time for our next meeting, which the earliest the meeting would be January 21st.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open it up just kind of for public comment. I don't see anyone on our call from the public, so I'm going to also defer to any commissioners with additional business that they like to address. The floor is yours.
I would like to say something else, even though I've talked a lot already, but I would like to say that I think it's important for us to stay in communication and hear from Penny Caudle and the Monroe County Health Officer as we proceed through all this. And I know I saw I'm on the Ellisville Chamber distribution list, and I know she's speaking there the same day that we meet in March. And so that wouldn't be an option, but I wondered if we could invite her also to talk about, maybe give her the survey that we're planning on putting together and see if there was something that she thought, based on all of her field work and her staff's field work that's going on right now, what it is that we might even be missing that they're hearing about. I think that would be really good for her or someone in her staff to review. I just think that, I mean, we hear a lot of things, but I know that they are really, really, I mean, they've increased their staff, as I remember. Is that right, Trent?
Yeah, I mean, they have added in some things to support the function of the health department, particularly during the crisis. I can't give them enough praise for
me too.
What they're dealing with, what they're undergoing, and particularly Penny, who is, I said once in a county council meeting that Penny has both the blessing and the curse of loving the people that we serve, and she takes it every single day in with her.
She's been the rock through all of this.
Yeah.
She has definitely been the rock, and the most stable and focused person that I've been watching for many years. And that's just such a wonderful trait to have going through all this in our county, I think. And so I think anything that her and her staff and people that work with her in this whole situation can offer us in how we proceed with this would be very, very useful. So I don't know, for our next meeting, would we be able to think about maybe having her come and talk to us maybe for a few minutes?
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I think one thing that we can also encourage people to do is to sign up for the Medical Reserve Corps. Have you guys heard of this?
Yes.
Monroe County Medical Reserve. So I've signed up to serve in the reserve. I encourage you all to either sign up or share with your networks. Yeah. If you haven't heard of it, it is an initiative from the Monroe County Health Department that is focused on assisting like people through all of the things that surround COVID and the COVID vaccine, but it's not even just COVID, right? Like you will be a part of a registry that if any disaster, any emergency happens here in Monroe County, you can be tapped into to serve and address these needs. So if you're interested, it is a national, so the Medical Reserve Corps is a national program, but it is organized locally for volunteers in the event of a disaster, but they also build community resiliency in times of peace through public health education and additional trainings. This is the email from them. That's their blurb. And to volunteer, it's as simple as completing a form, registering on SERV-IN, so SERV-IN, which is the State Registry of Emergency Volunteers in Indiana. It's very simple. You set up a profile, you let them know your availability, and then they'll tap into you. So yes, I applaud Penny as well I will reach out to Penny to see if she's available to attend our February meeting. But one way that we can also support her department is by signing up for the Monroe County Medical Reserve Corps.
Thank you.
I have a recent flyer from them if anybody wants me to send it to them.
Okay.
I can.
Michelle, I know you also came off mute earlier to ask a question. Would you like to go?
Yes, it's not a question. I just wanted to let you, let the commission know that I picked up the leftover swag from Ivy Tech from Girls Coding Camp. There are, what's left are child-sized t-shirts and then all of the adult-sized t-shirts that were intended for the volunteers who helped facilitate. So and what also was left is just a handful, maybe 9 water bottles, a stack of stickers, and quite a few of the string backpacks. One thing I noticed is we did put the date on it, which is a little bit disappointing because they say 2020. That means they really can't be used. I have stopped doing that with the t-shirts that I print in my office for events so that when there are leftovers, they can be used the following year. Unfortunately, these do say 2020 on them, both on the t-shirts, the water bottles, the stickers, and the backpacks. You know, I will distribute the t-shirts to the interns that were promised those. But if anyone's got any good use or good ideas on what to do with the leftovers that are dated, you know, be thinking about that because I'd hate for it just to sit in a box in my office forever.
Did we know that that was the design with the date on it?
I don't remember. I was surprised to see it because I thought we went without a date. So
we're just doing logos. I didn't know that there are dates on it.
Yeah, I don't, of course I'm home today, so I don't have it to show you, but they all have the date on it, which is disappointed because, you know, I would have thought we just roll them into next year, but no, we can't because they're dated.
Can we put together like the cinch bag with like a few items in it and we use them as like early registration? Like if you early register for this next camp, then if you're the first however many, then you get, you know,
great idea.
Swag, because a t-shirt is a t-shirt.
Right. No, that's a great idea, Jill. I like that. That's a good idea to use.
Even if it's similar to what's going to be handed out again.
Yeah.
You know, they're kids. Yeah. They'll like it.
They'll feel special going in.
Yeah. So there are quite a few bags. I didn't hand count everything. I certainly had other things on my plate yesterday when I was in the office, but there are, I'm going to say, easy 50 string bags. There are a lot. Maybe there was a minimum quantity that they had to order. So there are way more backpack bags than there are, you know, it's very few water bottles. Those are probably, water bottles were probably a per item purchase. So they were able to order those closer to the number that they wanted.
What if we used them for part of our tea bag thing where maybe, you know, it's just like an extra, like we put everything in there that we wanted to drop off maybe, and it's kind of advertising one of the things that we've done. That's
a good idea.
Maybe the stickers, because those would still fit in the box.
No, but I think what Jill's saying is put it all in the string bag, right?
Yeah, depending on how many, you know, if there are 50 bags, or I mean, some way they need to be used as some type of gift or advertisement of what we've been doing.
Yeah. The flyer could talk about that. You can see from the bag, right? The bag this all came in or something like that, right?
I hear what you're saying. I will say that I'm afraid the branding on something called Girls Coding Camp will overshadow what we're trying to do from a commission standpoint, and they'll get they'll start, you know, people remember what they see and they'll think, oh, Girls Coding Camp dropped this off. So I'm a little hesitant on that idea personally.
That's a good point.
What we could do is donate the bags to some place like the Youth Services Bureau, like the shelter, with a flyer that says, you know, hey, be on the lookout for Girls Coding Camp 2021.
Or the Boys and Girls Club.
perhaps we add maybe even some toiletries or something like that that takes it away from it just being about them missing the girls' code in camp, but it helps meet the needs of the students who are in those emergency or homeless shelters.
I like that.
So we'd be repurposing, but we'd also be using it as, yeah. I am really disappointed by this. And I'll tell you guys why, because when if you guys remember, this was supposed to be a commission deliverable. And when we couldn't get access to the funding, we rolled it over to Ivy Tech. And in a number of emails, I asked them to make sure that we saw the branding so that we would be comfortable, because it's a commission thing. So we wanted to be comfortable with whatever went out. And I never saw that. And so now to know that the year is on them, I think in my mind, when we were planning for, or thinking about planning for 2021, this was material that I saw us being able to use for the new camp.
Yes.
So we would be getting the maximum benefit out of this order. And so I'm really disappointed to know that that's what happened when the communication was dropped between partners.
Well, we did look at their branding material, and what they sent, the logo that we okayed did not have the year on it. So it might have been a later ad, or they might have just assumed that wasn't, it's not like we saw the t-shirt with the placement. We saw the logo they were going to use. And then
and I was hoping that this would be one less expense that we had for the 2021 camp, because there's no guarantee that we will get the Verizon grant this year. So now I feel like we don't have the funding or the supplies. I'm a little bit frustrated by this, guys. So thank you for taking care of that, Michelle, and picking up
one other thing that it's totally different change of subject. I am also on the hospital reuse steering committee, and in this month, in January, we're supposed to hear the preliminary cost of the estimates of that whole project going forward, but nothing has been decided still yet. So that's still percolating along. I know there's consultants that are developing different scenarios, and those have not all been decided yet. So, and maybe they won't choose a consultant proposal. I don't know. So it's still in flux, but the cost estimates to do a lot of things are supposed to be forthcoming this month.
Okay. I am so thankful for all of the time and commitment that you guys have put into a wonderful 2020. Sounds like we're off to a great start in 2021. The time is 1:30. If you have anything else, this is the time to share. But if not, I want to be a respecter of time and get you guys off of this Friday call.
We have 2 more meetings.
I just wanted to throw out one thing that maybe you guys hadn't realized is that our school district has changed their schedules again on how our students are going to school. So that has caused a myriad of issues for a lot of families. Just short and simply, it's more like the MCC version, where our elementary students are going to school, but they are still not going to school on Wednesdays. So they go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then our junior high and high school students are doing the hybrid, where they are only half are attending every other day. And so, for instance, my oldest went to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday of this week, but she will go Tuesday, Thursday next week. But we now have the situation where Wednesdays, where older students were watching younger students, younger siblings, that may only happen twice in the month instead of the 4 times. And we have teachers who are working junior high and high school who have students that we have to go to work now on Wednesdays, and be in the building, and their younger children that are school aged are off. So we have a new schedule to get used to and try. So
again, another new schedule.
We like to change things up about every 6 weeks. So
yeah.
Wow,
it's awful.
Yeah,
we're so missing stability. So missing it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, at this time, well, first off, Jill, thanks for sharing that, because that's something that we should absolutely be keeping in mind, and that may even be reflected in our survey results, this need for stability, right? And so thank you for sharing that. At this time, we are going to go ahead and adjourn today's meeting. We do want to thank Monroe County Tech Services Department for the technical lift, as always. And thank you, Kat, for making this accessible to community members. I will see you all, hopefully for a special meeting. I'm going to work on that. But if not, I will certainly see you February 12th.
Well, and we'll need enough for a quorum at that special meeting to make a vote, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll focus on that.
You know I will, Liz. Thank you, guys. You all take care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Happy weekend.